I have projected that Bitcoin won't make a next leg down until early through mid-December for reasons I've covered extensively on my channel, my last few Bitcoin videos. If you're a new viewer, you might want to go ahead and watch my most recent Bitcoin videos. They will provide you an analysis about Bitcoin price, both short-term, mid-term, and long-term, just in the last 3 videos that you won't find anywhere else, given the tools that I developed myself and I used in there to show you why I feel that way and why it should be probable. With that, so that applies to both stocks and Bitcoin, which are moving together. It looks like it won't really have a next leg down, new lows until mid-December. But current events, NATO scare, jitters in the market, a missile hitting Poland and all that stuff, that could cause jitters in the market, which accelerate those plans. Therefore, a more expedited version of what we were thinking, which would be the first time it's ever happened in Bitcoin, per the situation on my last few videos, right? Going under the origin line, it looks like it wants to hit its head for a whole month. It looks like with the market jitters that might not happen. It might happen sooner. So what I want to do in this video is I want to summarize just the general shape, not all the reasons why, the general shape and length of time that you would expect Bitcoin to mess around with this origin line up here to get a visual. And then I want to provide you with a threshold on when you could say to yourself, actually two different thresholds. One threshold where you start saying, warning sign, this might break down sooner than this. And then the next threshold that I'm going to give you the probability flood, where the probabilities flood drastically. It's almost the point of no return, like an event horizon, but not quite that extreme. I might be the king of Bitcoin, but I don't know how to make black holes. So essentially the probability pivot point, the warning sign, hey, it just became slightly improbable that situation Tim's been describing happens. And then I'll show you the threshold of when it's obviously gonna accelerate down and not mess around with this origin line again, and until after the next leg down. So let's go ahead and jump into this Bitcoin price and go get it. My buttons weren't working. I don't know why I didn't. You're supposed to see that intro thing. That's 11 seconds long or whatever. All right. What you see on the chart right now are the bumpers that are in play on Bitcoin price. This is what I have on my live chart that is right now only available to my Cryptillion YouTube tier and my Discord all tier, both tiers. If you want to copy this, that is fine. And honestly, it's probably a good idea. So I'm on the 15-minute time frame, and it only goes to Monday the 14th when Bitcoin made this low down here. Okay, I don't think it was so it wasn't the big drawdown. It was the first higher low. And that's what it looks like on the 15-minute chart. All right. Now, these should be your bumpers for, let's say, through Monday of next week. I think whatever Bitcoin does, it will interact only with levels, EMAs, bumpers, whatever you want to call them, between this green line and the origin line. The green line's already been swiped under. So, it might not be hit again, but sometimes, you get some bearish stuff, it bounces on it before it tries up. But regardless, I think Bitcoin right now is working. So those are essentially my limitations for this week. On a percentage basis, that's about a 10% range. However, since the liquidity was grabbed under this macro channel line, which for new viewers, I'll zoom out and show you why this is very important right here. And why I gave an alert to my community. Hey, this is going to swoop. Before it happened, it's on this live stream for public, so you could go back and watch me say it. But I was given an alert to my community about right here saying, hey, it's going to bust below the blue line. It's going to swoop under the green one, and it's going to go up for the first several days of the week, which is what has happened so far. And Oop. What did I just do? Having all sorts of freaking technical difficulties right now. So in general, if you want to have the overall scope of how far Bitcoin will move this week, you're staring at it. And a lot of people prefer to watch the candles bounce on my chart. That's why, that's why it might be beneficial to check out the Cryptillion YouTube tier or the Discord community. So you don't have to do your own, you don't have to draw your own lines. You can just pull up your phone and watch this on the lines act as the bumpers for Bitcoin price. If I must say though, that it does look like Bitcoin wants to swipe up to the origin line, which wow, I am having almost zero luck today. It disappeared for me. Son of a bitch. Why is this happening? Okay, now it's there. Why is it disappeared on my 15-minute chart? Okay, it's there. Oh, TradingView decided to work and put it back. Fantastic. Nope, now it's gone again. Holy cow. 30-minute, it works. Am I crazy? Are you seeing this? Now it's gone. Now it's back on the 5-minute chart. Well, fantastic. So we are discriminatory against 15-minute chart. Whatever. All right, so this is the range of Bitcoin and where it will have bumps and bruises, and these are your bumpers, essentially like a pinball machine. So I guess I'm going to have to use the 30-minute chart right now. So feel free to copy this. So therefore, not a whole lot of excitement because Bitcoin is in the middle of this, range for the week. So to the upside, if you get a swoop above the origin line, that's 5% move on Bitcoin, which for altcoins, that could be a nice play, especially hot ones like Atom, Matic, all that kind of stuff. So for newer viewers, this is what, let me clean up the chart. Okay, this is pretty much all of Bitcoin price, right? And then, boom, origin lines. The lowest ever origin line that's been touched was back when Bitcoin was under about $2. And for the first time since then, or essentially since forever, the rules of these origin lines say that Bitcoin must touch it before it can aggressively get above here and stay above this line. I need to make a tutorial video, that I can just link every time I get a new viewer who just doesn't believe that these lines work, because it is hard to believe. But returning viewers, we've been over this enough. You all realize that they work. And so just realize that's what's at stake. And if this were to happen, so getting off of the low time frames, we're moving on to we're looking at 13.5, and this goes to the 64K top, this little channel here. And this would happen the middle of December. And a lot of the ways that there are only 5 ways that Bitcoin can behave once you get a move similar to this one that comes down to an origin line. We've been able to rule out 2 of the 5. One is, and they're polar opposites. One is, that's the bottom, because Bitcoin bottoms align with an origin line, often a wick below it, but the daily close is right at it. So the bottom end, okay, that's not happening, cross that out. There are only 4 other ways. It zooms through this and hits the next one down or more. I think the most it's ever done is it skipped 2. Yeah, it skipped 1, 2, and hit the third one down in one fell swoop before. That's not going to happen. The other 3, as I made very long videos on this, but the other 3 in general, 1, it requires Bitcoin to use this as support. And if you see that happening, then 19K to 21K would be about as high as it will go, because it does not have permission to go any higher given the rules of these origin lines. However, we can rule that out for now because Bitcoin has not used this as support yet, outside of the very first day that it hit it, which is why at that exact snapshot in time, it was my favorite, fractal, or the way Bitcoin moves in the situation with an origin line. So right now, there are only 2 of 5 situations, possible, quote unquote, that Bitcoin, how Bitcoin will behave. And did I save these darn fractals? Oh, please tell me I did. There we go. Yes, I did. All right. All the scribbles down here, I would have to be on a lower time frame. So these 3 price paths I'm not going to show you. I gave my community an update showing if something new is going to happen that hasn't ever happened in Bitcoin before, which namely, it doesn't go sideways here and interact with this origin line for about 30 days, 15 to 30. As the rules say, that's what will happen. But with FTX, it's now Russia and NATO, like it could send it down. And so you could just rewind the video. That's roughly what would happen. I'm not going to go over that though. That was for paid community stuff. I didn't realize it was going to pop it up. And that would be something new. Bitcoin has never behaved like that before. These two are what is on the table. This is the red one, so it uses this as resistance. Yes. Something to this effect. So in general, the way Bitcoin is most likely to behave at this, in this moment of time is like this. So right now, every time that Bitcoin falls heavily to an origin line and does not, within the next 48 to 72 hours, go to the next one, because that's a capitulation type of move, right? Things really get let loose. In that situation, it always goes sideways for about this length of time. And I pull these fractals from exact, very similar moments. This fractal is still in play. This is the fractal that essentially rides both sides of the origin line. This technically could happen still, but it's not really in play until Bitcoin gets over this origin line and uses as support at least on a couple of 5 to 15 minute oscillations. However, it's still in play, but right now it's invalid. So we're left with literally one fractal right now that is by far the most probable. Yes, this is technically still in play. It saddles both sides of the origin line, but we're going to know when to bring this back into our scope. That's when price gets back above this origin line, and it's not, right? And so you can see from this point of view that Bitcoin seems like it's poised to want to play with that line. And when I go back down to the micro time frames with my live chart lines, you can see this full circle. Hopefully my origin line is there on the, no, wow. Tradingview, what are you doing? All right, anyway, see that origin line up there? It's the same line. Now, the reason I don't think this is the week that Bitcoin goes drastically over this line, okay, now to more midterm time frame stuff as well, is actually the futures of of SPX, or the, let's see here, yeah, this is what I want. Take off the weekly 10. So the reason why I don't think Bitcoin is going to initiate a large 5% move above the origin line, which is still in play. It can easily happen. It's allowed to do it within the rules. But why I think, something signaling even more strongly in favor of that red fractal, where Bitcoin just bumps its head on it, might go 1% above, 2% maybe, which would be about 17,600 if it goes about 1 or 2% above. Is this what you're looking at right here? This is the top of the stock market right there. And it's in the macro channel. This is as high above the top macro channel line that it's gone in a big bull trap before it accelerated down, made new lows. It's gone to this line again and got rejected, and trying to do some wizard magic here. Watch this. See that? Check that out. So this 40.21 is pointing to the line, and I expected it to go above the line, right? And I have not moved it. I haven't moved it. I've only made it opacity. I turned the opacity down. It's behaving almost exactly as what I was thinking. So now that you've gotten that move and a rejection from it, I think it needs to come down and touch this line. I believe it's going to run out of steam, especially with the whole Russia stuff. You know, honestly, I would expect it to break down more quickly as opposed to do something I'm not expecting to the upside. With current market jitters and global jitters. And this line right here is Monday. So during the weekend, I should probably mark off Friday also, Friday afternoon. At about this time right here. So when it's between these two lines, the market will close and it won't actually, you know, you won't see this here because it'll be closed and it actually opens up a little bit before this line. But on Monday, I would expect it one more try up because people, you know, retail traders, institutional traders, I think they're going to want it to be a buy Monday. And so it's specifically in tune to Bitcoin this week going sideways, you know, and I've been saying that is the range of Bitcoin through the rest of this week. And here's why. Here's what's going to happen the rest of this week. I've already guessed this. It's following it almost precisely. And I don't see any reason to think that's not going to happen until I see this used as support or this used as resistance. And I will know the exact probability flips. So here's the threshold number one. These lines on the US 500 chart. So on TradingView, you could type in US 500, hit enter, and just try to copy these lines. I'm on the 1 hour chart. You don't have to go all the way back in price and make it look like my channel. These are the only two in play. Bitcoin is moving with this. So your threshold on whether Tim is right or wrong to the upside or downside, right? It goes outside of that, 10% range that I was talking about. This will show you. If US 500, which trades during the night, and SPX doesn't, right? So this is the futures of the S&P 500. If it gets above and uses that as support on even something tiny like 5-minute candles, that is the exact point where that's the probability flip. At that exact instant, it's like it becomes 51% likely that I'm wrong. And Bitcoin will go above my range, right? And make a move potentially to 19K. And the shelf life of this is through Monday. To the downside, if I'm wrong to the downside, you're going to see the SPX. Like if Bitcoin goes below there, it's because SPX is going below here. Most likely. Extreme, very, very, very likely. So this is also your threshold to the downside. Like, and I know this might be uncomfortable for people who, I don't know, maybe you just don't believe Bitcoin moves with the stock market. It does. And these lines are probably going to get it right. So if you want these are the thresholds that will coincide with thresholds that I'm about ready to give you on Bitcoin, which technically we've already seen because it's just those, it's just my live chart. How do I make myself small again? I think my button master is messed up. My stream deck, sorry. Here, I want to go to the bottom. All right. So I would say that SPX going below that line, it actually might coincide with Bitcoin going below this instead of the green line. I don't know which one, as SPX, if it were to break down below the bottom line, I'm not for sure if Bitcoin will be using this as resistance or using this as resistance. So that is I don't know if it's a nuance, but keep that in mind. This could actually be the thing that aligns with it because it's the breakdown point of the current Bitcoin shape, which is pattern traders would call this an inverse head and shoulders. But to the upside, it will be identical. If SPX is using that upper line as support, then Bitcoin will be using the origin line as support. That is what would happen in that case. But there are two options to the downside. And I would maybe call it this. To the downside, it's actually kind of convenient because this would be, let's say Bitcoin is going below this and using it as resistance. I would call that, but SPX is still above that line. I still think the probabilities flip. That there's a 50, that's exactly when it becomes 51% likely that I'm going to be wrong and it will break below this range. even though it hasn't broken below this yet, which was part of my range, but it becomes likely that it will at that time. The probability flood, when it becomes obviously very, very probable, is not just a couple candles below, but it's if it uses it as resistance on the way back up. It will test it. It's not just going to flood below. The Bitcoin's not ready to get volatile like that yet. So you have to wait until, if it were to come down here, wait to get resistance, and then if it starts coming out after hitting its head on that line, that's the probability flood right there. I mean, you're going to have extreme chances of trading to the downside being the correct movement. All right, but until then, I think it's just going to be filling out a shape. If I had to guess specifically, I would guess through Monday, it'll bounce between 1620 and this line if I had to tighten up my range, and that should make it about an 8% range. Yeah, and I feel that way because it's already swooped below the channel line twice. I don't see it happening again. I think it'll use this one as the next liquidity grab before the opposite move. All right, so that would be my specific guess. But for the sake of YouTube, I want a bigger range so I have less chance of embarrassing myself, if I may be honest. And so these are all the reasons put together that I'm thinking sideways action through this week and exact levels what to look for and a second chart to get agreement. Hey, this is an alert signal. SPX is going below here, or the US 500. US 500, it wasn't SPX. US 500 chart's going below those lines. Be on the warning sign. And where's Bitcoin on Tim's live chart? Oh, it is exactly where he said. You'll be able to put all those things together and then make a quicker decision, or you will have guidance in making quicker technical analysis decisions on your own part. And I think this analysis should get you through the next 5 or 6 days. And yeah, even if I'm wrong, I showed you exactly how I will be wrong. I mean, how cool is that? And I let you know what another chart would be doing in the exact moments I'm wrong either way. So if I'm wrong in this, then I'm not going to feel bad about it because I think I fully prepared everybody for that event. But that is what we got, and that is Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ethereum.